Hey everybody, EMC takes jabs at Oracle and more on This Week in Cloud Computing. Hello everybody and welcome to episode 44 of This Week in Cloud Computing. I am your host, Amanda Coulong, and joining me in some really rough weather from the East Coast, my co-host Dave Linthicum. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. It's a foot of snow I had to get through to get to this, get to the office to do this podcast. A foot of snow. Good thing I have a truck.
Oh, trudging through a foot of snow. You know what I had to trudge through to get to the office? I had to skip down a sidewalk with this on.
I know.
I
know. What is it, 60 degrees there? Hey,
oh,
listen,
at least.
It builds character. It builds character, okay?
I don't know. It builds dry skin for me when I'm back there. But anyway. We also have joining us today Mikey Moran of Mougg, which is a streaming music service. So excited to have Mikey joining us today. Mikey, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, we can hear you perfectly fine. So there we go with Mikey Moran with Mougg. So we'll jump into more about Mougg a little bit later. But until then, if you would like to join us here on the show, you can join us in the chat room and we will interact with you there. And also follow us on Twitter, TWI Cloud Comp on Twitter, and use the hashtag TWICC. That way we can track any questions that you pose to us there. So definitely engage with us here live on the show. If you would like to sponsor This Week in Cloud Computing, we're always looking for new sponsors. So you can send a message to Mo, that's M-O, at thisweekend.com, or just sponsor at thisweekend.com. And speaking of sponsors, we'd like to talk a little bit about Take for a second. So Take, it helps you share news of your wants and your haves with your friends and the world. So check out Take right here. So think checking in, but for things instead of places. It's kind of cool. So it's a new startup. It hasn't launched yet, but you can request an invite at taketake.com. So right here, request an invite, taketake.com. So you can track your wants and haves and curate your profile with your favorite things. So share your take and check out the chatter with all your favorite stuff. Taketake.com. Make sure that you request an invite there. So I think we should probably just get right into it and jump into some news. Dave, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one because I'm just going to laugh if I do. So EMC has pulled a YouTube video that it produced making fun of Oracle CEO Larry Ellison and his cloud in a box. Now, of course, there's a take here on the Saturday Night Live sketch with, clouds and boxes. Well, boxes and, genitals. But anyway, Dave, I'm just going to let you take this one.
Yeah, oh my God. Actually, Chris Hoff tipped me off on this one on Twitter, and when I looked at it, I couldn't believe it. I mean, here is a company, EMC, huge publicly traded company, Green Plum Software, and they're doing basically an Apple premise kind of a video thing where a actor that looks like Larry Ellison, obviously is supposed to be like Larry Ellison, has a gift box pasted to his fly, and they're having kind of a back and forth conversation. And so I couldn't believe it that, the companies that size were, kind of taking shots at each other. And I posted a blog about it and actually got into the fact that these guys are selling technology, not really selling clouds. And lo and behold, the thing was pulled back. And so Read Write, you can't say it, Read Write
That's always
Web
such a tongue twister.
Picked up on it, and they called them out on it, and sure enough, it was gone. So I don't know if it was my blog or just kind of the issues with the video in general. I thought it was a cheap shot. I found myself kind of defending Larry Ellison in this case, but Green Plum was taking a very aggressive stance toward marketing around the cloud. I just think it was the wrong message sent, and it was the wrong way to do it. So yeah, hopefully they'll learn their lesson from this.
I think it was because of your blog. I really do. But I agree. I mean, there's fun marketing, and then it's stuff like this where the message is just completely off and you're missing the market. So, yeah, I mean, Mikey, what do you think about this one? Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree 100%. My take would be Larry Ellison, he's big guy. He's doing very well for himself. You know, a cheap shot at him, probably not the best idea. If it was something maybe not related to the Saturday Night Live skit, something a little bit less racy, I think it would probably be okay. Not as big of a deal, but just with that relation, definitely way too far, especially for a larger company such as EMC. If it was a smaller company, maybe they could get away with it a little bit easier. But just two big guys going at it, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
I thought in the video marketing and the viral video stuff, Novell did a great job in taking a lot of cloud computing blog posts, including myself and Chris Hoff and a few other people, and then putting kind of this creative dance thing around it and reading the post. And I thought that was very cool. No one really else has thought of that. It's very innovative, got their message across, and it worked well. This is not the way to do marketing in the cloud space. We're going to see more of this, I think, as people are trying to grab share, and they're going to take very aggressive stances and more negative marketing, stances in rolling out their message. It just doesn't work. It backfires each and every time you do it. It backfired on these guys.
Mm-hmm. And particularly if you're not even putting your own value proposition in there. It's just completely missing the mark. So, yeah, bad cloud washing on the part of EMC. Let's move along to printing in the cloud. I know that personally, I got a new MacBook Pro and I brought it into the studio, and damn it, I had to load more print drivers on my MacBook Pro. And I'm looking at this going, wouldn't it be nice if I could just print, from the cloud, anywhere in the cloud? Well, printing from the cloud is in baby steps now, thanks to Google. Google Cloud Print. It's a beta service that they launched yesterday. So ultimately, it's going to allow us to print from any application, on any device, to any printer. So I personally love the notion of that. If I'm on my way to the studio and I want to print out show notes from my smartphone and just have the notes waiting there for the studio team when I arrive, cool. But also from, a netbook, from your regular computer, whichever, and not having to worry about those printer drivers and stuff. So right now it's initially aimed at smartphones running HTML5, and for the beta, printers have to be connected to PCs that are running a Windows operating system. Linux and Mac support are going to follow shortly thereafter. But what I want to know is, do you guys think that we're going to see web-connected printers, actually, that will naturally be cloud-aware? Is this sort of a stepping stone for that, Dave?
Well, HP has this thing that's in their subsystem where they're basically trying to allow these printers to have email addresses. You can email jobs to them and they'll print, and of course you can do that anywhere in the world. I think this is going to be a much better solution. The fact of the matter is, printers frustrate the heck out of us right now. We can't get them working. I have 3 printers around me. That's because I guarantee 2 won't work and 1 will. When I want to print out an invoice or print out a letter, all these sorts of things. They're just very frustrating devices, and I hate to use them, but I need to use them all the time. And if Google can provide a cloud-based print setup where I can basically print to any physical printer all around the world from any of my devices, my iPad, my iPhone, and my MacBook, then kudos to them. They solved a big problem that, quite frankly, HP and Canon and other printing vendors haven't been able to solve. Now, if they can make toner cheap, they'll have everything.
Exactly. Or if we just stopped printing altogether.
Yeah,
but that's
not?
a separate discussion. Mikey, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a move in the right direction. For me, I very rarely print anything, and I have the same problem every time. And you buy a new printer, and the ink's out within the first 5 pages anyway. I mean, in our office, we have this printer, and people come into the office and want to print stuff. And I said, look, we printed 10 pages. The thing's out of ink, and just kind of going away from printing, but at the same time for Google to do something like this, so people that do use their smartphones all the time, because obviously. Yeah. Everything's going towards the smartphone. I definitely think it's a great idea, and it just gets more people talking about Google, which is always a good thing. I don't know if it's something my mom would be using anytime soon, but as people get a little bit more comfortable with doing more things in the cloud, and if it integrates well with all the other things Google does as far as documents and such, I definitely think it's a good move.
Mm-hmm. And obviously it's great for people who use Google Documents, Gmail, blah, 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 so great play there. I personally would like to see people not printing things, but I'm not sure that's going to happen anytime soon. The next story is a little bit disturbing to me, I have to say, but I also have to say that, Jason Calacanis, you are probably going to like this startup. So just, eyes peeled on this one. There's a cloud-based video monitoring startup called Sensor.net. That's SENSR.net. They've just secured $1.5 million in funding that was led by Spark Capital out of Boston, and also including Charles River Ventures and a few strategic angel investors. So Sensor lets anybody set up and remotely monitor network cameras over the internet just using a browser. So it continually monitors and archives camera footage and then notifies you via email or text if there's any sort of suspicious or unusual activity. So on the surface, that's actually sort of a good thing, if you're concerned about home safety or, did the guy actually drop off the FedEx package when they said they were going to, that kind of thing. But this cloud-based video monitoring service is constantly monitoring and archiving footage of what's going on wherever you point that camera. And then if everybody's allowed to do that, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Putting some video surveillance in the hands of the masses. Dave, what are your thoughts?
I don't know about you, but you're going to have to sweep your apartment once a week just kind of to make sure there's no hidden cameras around. We've been at this for a while, and this stuff is getting dirt cheap right now. You can get a Wi-Fi camera with a web server in it that can hook up to any open Wi-Fi network. It just needs power. In fact, you could probably run it off a battery for a certain amount of time. And it can detect motion. It can transmit video. It can actually transmit real-time video back to you via a web browser. And these guys are basically just making it easier to do that. So the geeks, guys like myself who know how to set these things up, you can get them going and they work today. But, it's really a hard thing to do for a rank and file person to set up these things. Guys like ADT are selling these services, but it's very expensive. Folks like Costco are selling these DVR-based systems, but it's very expensive and very technical to set up. So if these guys can make it easy, chances are you're going to see a lot of cameras sitting around at doors and watching dogs and watching kids, and probably have a lot of legitimate purposes. I do set them up when people come by the office. I can see, that someone has come in, and I know that someone's in the office. Kind of keep an eye on the place, but the uses are endless.
That's the scary thing, but the good thing too. I personally would love to set one up for my cat, because whenever I'm not home, I swear she gets up on her back legs and sits at the couch and reads the paper. But anyway, Mikey, what are your?
They're small now. We can put a cat cam on your cat. I can set the whole thing up. We can have the thing monitored on This Weekend Network. It'll be very cool.
Kitty cam. There you go. Mark Jeffrey, CEO of thisweekend.com. Kitty cam. Anyway, Mikey, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I don't have any cats to worry about, but there's another advantage of having it cloud-based. A lot of people are uploading all their data to the cloud for the reason of, hey, what if my computer, if I lost it, if it was stolen, what am I supposed to do? All my data is now gone. So I think it comes along with, for businesses, it comes along the same idea as, I can personally say in our office we have video cameras, and the video camera is backed up to a hard drive that is within the office. It's locked, but it doesn't say that someone can't break into the office and steal it. So what really good are our video cameras if someone comes in and steals the hard drive that has all the footage on it? So for security purposes, it's one of those things where, wow, if I had it all up in the cloud, you can come in and I'm definitely going to still have all the footage and pictures and such of exactly what happened, and there's no way that the person that's coming in is going to be able to steal that. And for privacy issues, people pretty much know, I would guess, when there's a camera filming them, especially in an office for private use. I like it just because I do travel a lot. I'm out of the country for business overseas, and sometimes I'm a little bit concerned about my house. So if something was going wrong, if I could get a notification on my phone, it would, a little bit of peace of mind. So, and it's one of those things, if you're not doing anything wrong, you shouldn't really have to worry about it. So I'm all for it. I think it's a great idea.
I have to, agree with you too in the sense of it's so easy to just set it up and then boom, you've got the backup elsewhere. That's wonderful. So also great for things like families, if the babysitter, if you're worried about them, lots of shows have been around that. Anyway, I digress. Let's talk a little bit about Amazon. They have added CloudWatch to the AWS Management Console. So the interesting bit about CloudWatch is that it's letting admins create alarms and then troubleshoot around various performance metrics. So if you've got, peak issues where, say you're a game company and you're in the sandbox and playing around with a new game and things go wrong with that, you can actually go in and fix it on the spot. But the biggest question here is, are we actually going to see more companies that are offering tools to monitor their clouds, Dave?
Yeah, I think Amazon is basically catching up with a lot of the third-party tools that people are leveraging within the Amazon cloud. So you have a lot of startups that are doing monitoring of some of the bigger IaaS providers, such as Amazon and Rackspace and GoGrid. And I think Amazon is just basically looking to provide the core tools unto themselves. There's always a basic rudimentary set of tools that the infrastructure as a service providers and the platform as a service providers give you, so you can monitor instances and make sure you're not running up a big bill, those sorts of things. They're just not very attractive, not easy to use, and not very fine-grained in terms of your ability to monitor the different components. And I think Amazon is just providing that here. I think I'd rather see Amazon kind of provide some very rudimentary stuff and step out of the way and let some innovative startups kind of take that and have them build the best tools. Because I think if Amazon, very much like with Twitter building their own client, which kind of got in the way of a lot of the other startups that were building very innovative clients for Twitter. If Amazon gets in the way of that, people won't approach the market. And I think there's some very innovative things you can do in cloud monitoring stuff. And I like to see them provide the basic set of technology like they're doing here, but get out of the way and let the startups take over and be very innovative in this space.
Yeah, rather than having this be an afterthought for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mikey, do you agree?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things. You have Amazon's this huge Goliath, and it definitely will discourage a lot of startups from coming out with their own service and such. But should Amazon do it? Of course. I mean, it's kind of like I think about Google when they started with analytics and how just over the years they've made it more and more and more detailed and impressive as far as it goes. But, it kind of shuts down anybody else trying to do analytics programs. I mean, you have Google. I mean, what else do you really need? So for Amazon, as a business decision, I think they probably had to do it.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. Well, keep our eyes peeled on that and see what other little services they add just to round out AWS. So final story, IBM is building Asia's largest cloud computing center. So the facility is 620,000 square feet, or square meter, it says. And it's going to be owned by Range Technology, and it should be completed by 2016. I would love to just have some sort of understanding about how big that really is in terms of just a good comparison point. But the question with this, we've seen stories about lots and lots of other cloud computing centers cropping up here and there by the big providers. But could China find that cloud computing becomes the key technology that drives this rapidly growing economy? Dave?
Yeah, I think so. And by the way, 620,000 square meters is about the size of a blimp hangar, and I think it's a couple of blimp hangars.
Wow.
So this thing is going to be the mother of all data centers. It's going to be China-sized for sure. But China is moving very quickly into the cloud computing direction, and they're doing what they do best. They basically partner with US-based technology companies, incorporate the technology into new companies that are basically controlled by the Chinese government, and they're really trying to scale up their infrastructure where they don't have infrastructure currently. So the cool thing about China is they're not taking a traditional IT infrastructure and moving into the cloud, because they typically don't have a traditional IT infrastructure, any infrastructure at all. They're just moving directly into the cloud. So they see this cloud enablement technology as their ticket to modernize their existing IT infrastructure, and that's why they're making huge investments in cloud computing. Their investments in cloud computing may outpace some of the investments in the U.S. over the next couple of years.
That's what I was just wondering. Mikey, what are your thoughts with this? Do you think that they'll become an emerging leader with cloud computing?
It seems like China becomes an emerging leader with about everything, especially with technology. So, yeah, I mean, they're definitely skipping ahead with going to the cloud, and I can't even fathom the size of that data center. I mean, I'm looking at the Atlanta skyline now, and I'm thinking, wow, that's basically the data center right there. So, yeah, they're on point. They have the space for sure. So, and a lot of users. But I don't know with the government and such, as far as a lot of the regulations they have. I don't know what kind of control they're going to have, but and how that plays with any type of U.S. investments or vice versa. So it's going to be something to watch for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, government-wise, I'm wondering what the limiting factors would be there too. All right. Well, Dave, I think some of your darn snowy, stormy clouds are coming over here, and ugh.
Shield maiden, Yes?
Ragnarok is upon us once again.
Who's that?
Oh, never mind. Just go with it.
Okay.
Storm! Storm on demand! Storm on demand! Storm on demand is an infrastructure as a service, cloud computing platform that is powerful enough to replace dedicated servers. A proprietary cloud platform designed by Liquid Web, one of the largest web hosting providers with over 12 years of experience. It is easier to use and less expensive than Amazon EC2. Features include server setup in minutes, easy scaling, backup and restoration capabilities, and pay-as-you-go utility-style billing. Options include cPanel, Fantastico, Ubuntu, Debian, CentOS, fully managed servers, private networking, and swords like this, and little guys that we do not have in this commercial, but it doesn't matter, because this is cooler. Storm On Demand can be found at stormondemand.com, at Storm On Demand. Ragnarok be damned. Storm On Demand. If you do not get Storm On Demand, I will come to your house with my sword and make you get it.
Sorry, you always catch me. It's not fair. Storm On Demand, little men. We love the little men. So it's actually, this is a liquidweb.com Storm On Demand man. So if you want a Storm On Demand man, then tweet at TWI CloudComp or at a Kulong. I want a Storm On Demand man. It's at Storm On Demand. I love these guys. Very fun to play with. Ta-da-da-da. Anyway, so let's jump right into a discussion now with Mikey Moran of Mougg. Mikey, again, thanks for joining us today. So, Mougg is a simple way really to stream your music library, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So I would like to know, to begin, obviously there are streaming music services like Pandora, Grooveshark, Last.fm, that sort of thing. This is your own music library. Now, you're really one of the first companies to get into this play. How are you different? How do you compare?
Well, we're still a very new company, so we're still trying to figure everything out as far as what people want and the different features and such. We have a good idea, and we're going to implement a lot of features, obviously, in the upcoming months. But it comes from the simple fact a lot of people have their music, and it's stuck on their home computer. And this really solves the problem as far as playing the music you want. There's great services such as Pandora that, you have your basic music. There's another project I'm working with called Fit Radio. It streams high BPM music, a little harder to find, but, there's other times that you just want your own personal music. So this solves the problem of being able to play it anywhere. It works on any browser. I was just in Thailand for some business last month, and I was streaming my music over in Thailand, and you can't stream Pandora in Thailand. It's not going to work. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit solves people that travel a lot and such. I listen to it on the plane. I can listen to my own music. It's very interesting. So it'll work on your Android device. Your iPhone, obviously, the iPad. We don't have the app yet for an iPad specific, but the actual iPhone app does work on the iPad.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, what about, how do you compare to things like Sony Music's Music Unlimited service? Because that seems to be quite similar as well, where, you pay a nominal fee every single month, and the service stores a person's own record collections as well, so on a remote server. Are there any specific differences between the two of you?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. We have Sony that does it. There's some other smaller companies out there, some smaller players. Everybody talks about when's Apple going to do this, when's Apple going to do this. I think they make so much money off the downloads that, they've kind of put it off. People have talked about a data center in North Carolina specifically for this. Google has come out just recently saying that this was not something that they were looking into doing. Whether that's true or not, who knows? It could be out tomorrow. But we're just trying to keep it real social. We have a lot of social features that are going to be implemented. We're looking at even possibly doing something for bands where kind of the play off MySpace, how I'm not sure what's going to happen with MySpace. It's kind of a mess right now. But if bands could have their own profile page and their own music hosted with us, and then people wanted to find new music from new artists, something that's not on the Billboard Top 100, they could go and search for this kind of directory and it could be instantly into their library and played anywhere. So we definitely are looking to branch out and add some different features.
So what are the key features right now? So I have to say it's the price point's very reasonable, and so it's, I believe, free up until 1 gigabytes of digital music. Is that correct?
Sure, that's correct.
And then it's for 10 gigs, it's $2.99 a month. 40 gigs, it's $4.99, and then 100 gigs is $7.99 a month. So pretty reasonable on that front. And then what's nice about it is that you don't have to worry about syncing anymore. That's one thing that I personally really enjoy. Very easy to create lists, very easy, to just organize your music online, and the interface is pretty simple too. Can you expand a little bit more on some other potential upcoming features?
For sure. First of all, and probably the first time we've really announced it pretty big is, wanted to do it on this show, was we just thought, worrying about the different, how many gigabytes of storage you have is just, it's going to be a thing of the past, and we're going to go ahead and leap forward today. We've just made it unlimited songs for $2.99 a month.
Wow.
So we've kind of jumped ahead of everybody else offering, anyone offering a similar service. Just as much as you want to upload, we're going to take it. We have plenty of space. One of the key features that is pretty much almost done that I think is going to really help out with the service is currently you can upload about 50 songs at a time. We're developing software for both Mac and PC that is going to automatically upload your music for you into the libraries. So if you download a song from Amazon or iTunes, it's going to automatically upload it into the Mougg cloud and be available on any device.
Do you think that people will eventually move away from services like a Pandora just so that they can specifically just enjoy their own music, but then also, as you were saying a few minutes ago, kind of integrate discovery within that kind of as a subset of an overall service?
I think people, I'll have to admit myself, I like to listen to both as of right now. I'm not going to say that, it's going to eliminate a service like Pandora. I mean, they've come so far, and just with the streaming of music media, they've really, really led the way. So I don't think so. I think that it's really going to be, it's kind of technical right now for a lot of people. Cloud is still very new for people. So what I want to do, and personally want to do, is make people understand how easy this is. And, the word cloud is just, it's very simple, and Microsoft's talking about it more now. And it's going to make it, I want to make this something a lot more mainstream and worldwide. So, even I saw one of your interviews that you were talking about with the Ford cars and how you can now build apps for the Ford Sync, and we've actually already been kind of thinking about how to work that out. So when you have your new car, this is going to work in your car as well. So just kind of thinking forward as well. There's really so much you can do, and music's just such a big part of people's lives that we're going to just make it as easy as possible to listen to your music everywhere you can.
Now, what are you using for hosting specifically? Can you talk about that?
We have a data center, or we don't own the data center, but we have our servers within the data center, and we have a bunch of storage. We can right now hold about 25, we estimate about 25 million songs, so we still have plenty of room in that, but luckily it's definitely taken off in the last month as far as user goes, and people uploading the music and coming back to the site and being active with it.
Now, what are some of the big challenges that you're up against as it relates to streaming music? Because it seems like there could be quite a few.
Yeah, there's always, we try to, that's a touchy subject. It's always interesting with music because of the record companies and such. We've done our best to be as fair as possible. We don't let people share the songs in between the different users and such. We've basically just, especially in the beginning, we're not looking for any issues with any of the record labels or anything like that. So we've just tried to make it as simple as possible and just kind of fair as far as people listening to their own music that they've hopefully purchased through online or ripped from a CD or however they get their music.
So on a basic level right now, you're trying to put in, certain restrictions, so to speak, to make sure that people aren't breaking any rules.
Yeah, for sure, and our back end is pretty secure, so we're not worried about someone coming in and, I mean, nothing's 100% secure, I guess, but coming in and stealing a bunch of songs, there's way easier ways to do that on the internet. Not that we're going to get into that. So I think we're headed in the right direction, and we've steered clear of any kind of shady dealings, if you will.
Now, what about the restrictions of things like someone's mobile data plan? A lot of people are coming across that now where, some people, like myself, when you're a super user, so to speak, have unlimited data packages, but, not every average, person has the unlimited data package. Well, do you think that will cause any problems for you?
I really think we're moving towards the fact that everyone's going to have unlimited data, but it's not just for mobile. If you find that you have your music at your home, but then you go into your office and sometimes you just want to listen to your own music, being able to go to your office, or you've created this killer playlist that you can't wait to play at a party, and you're at your friend's house and you have this party, you're going to be able to play it there. So it's not 100% streaming through your cell phone and such, but it's just one of the things. People are going to be limited whether they're listening to Mougg, whether they're listening to Pandora, or pretty much anything else.
So you're not just banking on mobile, it's pretty much music everywhere. So does that also include things like set-top boxes or Xbox 360, that sort of thing as well?
Yeah, for sure. We've already optimized pretty much done optimizing for Google TV.
Okay.
We absolutely love it. It looks great. Still got a few bugs, to be honest, but of course, nothing's perfect.
Well, you just launched in November, so.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, we're still so new. So it's definitely one of those things, especially as we grow our user base, it's going to be a lot easier. We would love to be integrated with the smart TVs that are coming out, and a lot of the car manufacturers that are going to have apps for their car stereos. Because I can tell you, if you can hop in your car and you're streaming your music, you're going to be a happy person.
Exactly. Well, Ford's doing some pretty cool stuff on that front, like we talked about. So last thing, too, really happy that it doesn't rely on Flash.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So moving back to some standard web technologies. So props to you guys on that. Dave, do you have some questions for Mikey as well?
Yeah, so the new announcement is that for $2.99, it's unlimited. As much music as I have, I can ship up to your service. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, it's very cool. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, this seems to be where everything needs to go. I mean, it is kind of a bit weird, that I have my music library on my laptop and on my iPhone and on my iPad and on my hard drive. And if I want to bring it in my car has a hard drive. I have to load everything onto that hard drive. Why not just get it from a single cloud location? And so everything seems to be moving in this direction. I guess the thing is, don't you see a lot of competitive pressure in this area as people are driving into this space? To beat you to the punch, or is this something that you view as having plenty of room for 5 or 6 different companies that are emerging in this space?
Yeah, it's one of those things. I know people are coming. We're not going to be the only one doing this for long, especially as it gets out there more and becomes mainstream. It's just, I think it's going to be the way people present it. That's why we're really working to make it very simple for people to use and such. There's going to be plenty of space, especially we're doing this in the U.S., but we've actually had some great success overseas. A lot of people have picked it up. We're working on the translation of the player. So as you sign in, you can pick your different language. You can see me on Facebook posting, hey, do you know somebody that speaks this language? I need some help with translations. We're working on all that. So I'm definitely looking outside of just the U.S. market and going worldwide with this. We've had a little bit of great tweets and such for some big players overseas, so it's definitely generated some buzz.
Mm-hmm. So Amanda brought up a good point earlier, the terms of running around with, my data connections, and typically those are going to be cellular. How limiting is that? And then where people are going to run into data rate, running over their data rate and having to pay a penalty, or not be able to keep up from our bandwidth constraint, unable to get the music streaming down there to support the quality that they're looking for. Do you see that as an issue with the industry right now, and it's going to be caught up over time, or do you see that becoming an issue as it becomes more crowded and the cellular carriers become a little bit more stingy about their data plans?
Yeah, it's really a tough call because it seems the actual cost of bandwidth has been decreasing. So that's great, and more users are obviously going to unlimited data plan. As far as the cell phone carriers figuring it out, it seems like they've done a pretty good job so far. With the iPhone, I know the iPhone became so popular so fast, AT&T probably had to scramble for a little while to figure out the data, but it seems like they've probably done a better job at that. So, yeah, it's just one of those things that we can't worry 100% about. I think all those kind of items we have enough to worry about on our front, and we're going to have to let the cellular providers take care of business and figure it out for themselves.
Now, what about a disconnected kind of a feature? If I'm going to get on an airplane, is there a way for me to select certain aspects of my library that I want to play on the airplane, perhaps put into a cache file on my mobile device or on my iPad? Is that something you support now or something coming down the line?
That's actually a great idea. I appreciate it. It's not something that we have integrated now, but if you're flying domestically, pretty much if you're going to be on the plane and using data, luckily there's the Wi-Fi on there. So, I mean, I've used Wi-Fi. I've used it with Wi-Fi on the plane. It's worked great. But it will cache some of the songs, but not probably for a whole. I don't know if it's going to do the whole plane ride.
So what about video? Is this something where you're going to move into, be able to support, home movies up on the site and support, perhaps movies that we've, bought or purchased on our CDs, or where they give us a data copy, we're able to upload that as well? Is that coming? Is that something you guys are going to support going forward?
The video feature is actually pretty much done. We could launch video within a week. We've decided not to as of yet, just because we're really focused on the music aspect, and then trying to figure out the cost and more of the business aspect behind doing video, and then the storage behind it, and then the bandwidth behind it. So it's just something, like I said, we're so new. It's just we've designed it to do so, but we're just not really ready to launch with the video. But it's definitely there.
Great.
So what about shareable features and ability to integrate with social networks? You have Facebook and Twitter integration. Is that so people can see my library? I can expose to them what I want them to know, and we can share ideas and perhaps share playlists. Is that integrated in the technology currently?
Yes, for sure. Listening to a song, you can actually tweet it, and it will tweet the song that you're listening to. And as well as Facebook, you can Facebook share the song. It'll actually integrate a 10-second clip which will show up on your wall, as well as news feed. It's been great for us because it'll get some return traffic back to our site and let people know about us. We are actually going to launch within the next couple of weeks a somewhat profile page that's going to show. It's going to be obviously opt-in for privacy reasons, but it's going to chart out all the music that you're listening to. You can share it with your friends. You can invite people to see it and such. We're going to make it real sexy looking and just real easy to read and fun. So the social, I'm a huge social networking guy. So trust me, every social feature I can think of and get integrated is just the development aspect. Everything takes a little bit of time, and make sure we want to launch everything functioning properly and right.
Sounds like a great service. You can count me in as another customer.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
makes two of us. I've actually been playing with it already. So I personally really like the fact that I can easily tweet a song from my own library, because right now it's sort of clunky to do that with other services. For instance, I use Blip FM also, just as another service, but if there's a song that, maybe not as mainstream that I really love and I quickly want to share, it typically requires me uploading that song first in order to share it with other people. So if I've already got my library up there and I just want to share, some very niche song with people, it's there, it's easy. One last question I have too is, how do you address the question of why pay for this when I can do it for free? I mean, you've got the 1 gig thing, and are we going to move away from the 1 gig for free and just offer the $2.99 unlimited, or what's the deal there?
No, we're definitely going to keep the 1 gig for free. It's a great way for new users to try out the service. We're going to still keep a lot of the social features with the free account.
Sure.
The paid account is definitely going to have a lot of value-added features, so we're going to keep that. We plan on keeping it an ad-free service for the life of the business. So it comes down just really just down to business. We have to make revenue somehow eventually, so we're going to have to charge. But we think the
nothing wrong with
price
charging,
point
Mikey. Nothing wrong with
charging.
charging.
not at all. And I think the $2.99 price point for unlimited songs, it's really in the forefront of being something kind of revolutionary for your music to be able to really play it everywhere. So I think we're in a really good space right now.
Great. I'm definitely excited to see what happens with it. I think there's a huge land grab that can happen right now. And as far as the data plans and the carriers and things like that, I almost wonder if it'll be the same as when everyone started text messaging. You know, more data plans emerged to support that. You know, people gladly paid the extra money in order to let their teenagers, you know, send crazy texts back and forth with each other. So possibly, maybe, you know, things will change, you know, to accommodate this as well. Any final thoughts, questions, Dave? Are we good?
No, we're great. I mean, this is a wonderful application, great use of the cloud. So I can get all my music off of my devices, get it up in the cloud where it should be, play it in my truck, play it on my iPhone, play it on my iPad, play it on my computer, play it on my TV. Everywhere, this is the way the world should be.
Play it when you're plowing the snow in the front yard.
Hey.
I had to get one final jab in. You know I had to. Well, I agree too. I think Mougg's a great service. Definitely think everyone should at least try it out, especially if it's free for 1 gigabyte. So thank you, Mikey Moran with Mougg, for joining us today. And hopefully we can get you out to LA sometime soon.
Oh, I'm definitely coming out. Well, we're going to go out and get Jason to come, and everything's going to be a good time.
Great. Well, hopefully see you in studio. If you would like to follow Mougg, everybody, it's at MOUGG. Is that correct, Mikey?
That's correct.
At MOUGG on Twitter, and just mougg.com to go sign up for your free account. So sign up for Mougg today. Definitely worth checking out. Well, that's about all the time we have for today, so thanks again, everybody. If you have any ideas for the show, please send them to me, Amanda@thisweekend.com, whether you have guest ideas, if you've got discount codes, if you have giveaway ideas you would like to do. If you would like to sponsor the show, sponsor@thisweekend.com. Always looking for new sponsors. And yeah, just happy to have you all here on This Week in Cloud Computing. Make sure you check with us again next week, same cloud time, same cloud channel. Until then, I'm your host, Amanda Coulong. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Cloud Computing.